Okay, looks like we're going to get started. My name is Mike Irwin, and I'm going to act as the moderator for today's webinar. A couple housekeeping bits to get to in the beginning. There is a Q&A button at the bottom. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please go ahead and ask your question. We're going to try to answer them all at the end. If we do not get to all the questions, we will reach out and hopefully get your answers. We have a really good panel today. Excited to get started. Today is a very exciting day here at Spins. We launched our neighborhood pet channel, and this couldn't be a better time to be launching this channel because of all the new pet parents that we have across the country. Myself being one of them. I do have a COVID quarantine puppy. It really has helped the time go by, and I'm excited for all these trends today because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me to make sure that that dog is eating better than I eat. We have a really good panel ahead of us here. Amy Kerr, her title is up there, but I always say that she is the queen of pets. If you have any questions about anything related to pet, you go to her. I'm going to continue with my crowns, and I'm going to say Catherine Peters. This is the queen of data. You ask any data question, she will get you the answer, or she has it immediately. It's amazing how her brain works, and excited to hear what she's going to share with us today. And then we have Al Patillo. He is Chief Merchandising Officer for Mud Bay. If you haven't had a chance after this webinar, go over to their website and check them out. It's an amazing company with an amazing story, and it's great that we actually get to have them with us today. So why are we here today? Here's our agenda. We're really going to dive into a report that we released today, the Spins Pet Channel, Spins Pet Trends 2020. A lot of good trends that we're seeing in this space, and we wanted to put them all together here. Again, this panel is going to really dive in, and I think that this is going to be something everyone's going to get something out of this. So why don't we dive in right now with Amy starting. Amy, it says we love pets, and we know you love pets, and I love pets. Why is this the first slide, and why are we kicking off with this?
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for that intro. But we do love our pets. And the industry is a huge industry, right? There are more pet parents in the marketplace today, to your point. And so we're looking here at $49 billion of retail sales across the pet industry today. We know that 70% of households right now are purchasing food and treats for their pet parent or for their pets as pet parents. But you know, when I think about it, entering into the pet industry myself in 2006, so much has changed across the landscape of pet today. We now have this natural pet consumer. That's myself, right? I think about how when I go to the store to buy food for myself, I'm looking for cleaner products and better for you products. And so when I take that same mindset into consideration for my 13-year-old chocolate lab, I want what's best for Beck at the end of the day. So a lot has changed. This natural consumer has really started to impact the marketplace. And not only has the natural consumer hit the marketplace, but we actually have this whole new demographic and this whole new consumer. And when the millennial hit the pet marketplace as becoming pet parents, they initially, from the get-go, named their pet their fur baby. So taking that thought into kind of consideration as we talk about today's shopper and today's marketplace, this truly is impacting so much across the pet landscape today. So given the fact that millennials are having pets before they're having their own children, we see that they are looking for more holistic products, right? Buying raw goat's milk, it's no kind of strange element for the millennial pet parent to do. They'll buy those cleaner products. They're looking for that better for you ingredient. And we also have to think about the millennial and the fact that this is their fur baby. So if I were to go on a trip or if I were to hop in a plane, right, you take your baby with you. So the millennials have 100% incorporated pets into their everyday lifestyle. They are taking them down the street to go eat at the patio for dinner. And when it comes to taking that same mindset and putting that into a pet store, Millennials are shopping the entire store due to this lifestyle mindset, right? So if I'm taking my pet with me or my fur baby on a trip or just out in public, they are really paying attention to having that collar, lead, and harness that all match. If me as a pet parent, if I am taking CBD products for myself, I'm way more likely to give that to my pet because I'm adapting my lifestyle to back and to better her life. So we have so many shifts that are taking place in the market today, and really looking at the millennial and where they're wanting to shop brings us to this concept or the retail location of the neighborhood pet market. And the neighborhood pet market really is where we know that at the other end of that conversation, there's going to be an expert, right? Someone's going to help me guide that decision so they know me every time I enter, they know Beck every time she enters, and they know what I'm looking for. And so all of this change that's happened in the pet industry really has led us here to today of launching the Spins Neighborhood Pet Channel. So what really is this channel, and what is this looking like for our partners? So we wanted to bring something forth to our pet retail partners as well as to our brands that allowed everyone that shared a thought or a mission or this unified voice of bettering pets' lives. And Spins has the ability to bring retailers together that are looking to differentiate and bring brands together that are creating those differentiating products into a common community. And so that's what we've done with our Spins Pet channel. We've done just that. We're looking to, again, better the lives of our pets today. And we have a pretty cool ecosystem of retailers that make up this channel. So we have over 1,100 pet retailers in our Spins Neighborhood Pet channel. And what this looks like is retailers are participating in the channel because they know that they want to differentiate their assortment. They know that they want to bring these better for you products to market that today's pet parent is hungry and looking for. And we have the brands. We have new innovative brands that need a platform to launch, and they need a place that, you know, really accepts their differentiated and innovative way of thinking. And so across the Spins network of pet retailers, this is where those two things can exist. We've created this common language. We've been able to create this partnership. As well as within our 1,100 kind of national view of the marketplace, we have our key account retailers. Our key account retailers, like MedBay and Al on the phone, it really creates this ability for retailers and brands to have a common language. If I'm a brand and I'm selling into one of these key account retailers, I can understand, is my brand helping drive growth for a retail partner? Am I fully distributed across all of this retailer's locations and, you know, hitting the shelf in a timely manner and being there whenever the pet parent comes into play? And so opening up this key account dynamic allows the brand and the retailer, again, to come together in a common voice and have a conversation about the business. Our key account retailers and the retailers that we're partnering with across Spins Pet truly are independent retailers that created their store for a reason, and that reason really has been to bring better products forward. We want pets to have the best life possible, and we knew that they weren't getting it in other channels. And so many of these retailers have this mission to deliver better for you products and be this destination for the pet parent. And in that same mindset, this too is where Spins fits. We want to create a productive and healthy independent pet market. We want to make independent pets an innovative marketplace for brands. And we want our retail partners to drive growth. We want them to have their fair share, and we want them to have first line of sight to what's happening in the marketplace today.
I think that's great. something that's interesting with the mission of Spins has always been to bring better for you products to people. And now this is allowing us to bring that to pets. And in just conversations that I'm having with family and friends, oh yeah, we should be going to that local store because we will get the service and answer the questions. If you've turned over, I've said this to you, I think before, if you turn over a bag of food, I can't understand it. It's hard for me. So going to this and getting that hands-on person there to help me is so important. And I think that it's going to be a huge success going forward for Spins. And I will always come and ask you questions because I ask you about things all the time.
Absolutely.
So next we're going to actually look in and dive into the trends that are in the Spins Pet Trends 2020 with Catherine and Al. A lot of diverse trends here. Some are new, some people might say, oh, they've been there for a while, and other have just become more mainstream. So Catherine, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you dive in, and you and Al can handle this.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I'm excited for the next 60 minutes to take us deeply into the nuances of data.
I can mute you at any time. I can mute you at any time, so it won't be that long.
Thanks a lot. Like Amy, I'm so excited and echo our just how fantastic it is to have this neighborhood pet channel launched, and for all the work and commitment and that we are experiencing and will remain to build around our independent neighborhood pet partners. I started my career in pet, and it's really exciting to really see this come alive, as it really is these are our partners where innovation really begins and comes alive as we take care of our fur babies. So we're going to cover at a very high level today 4 different trends. The first one really talking about the rise of natural. So certainly it is not a brand new thing in pet, just like it's not on the human side, around the increase of natural products in our pets' lives and pet diets. But it is nice to now, particularly in these stores, be able to put a quantitative number to it. And it really helps you understand sort of the size of what it means, and really how it's just become part of who independent natural pet stores are, which is really exciting to see as the numbers come alive. A second trend around customizing our pets' diets. Certainly specialty diets, no different than in our own lives, are seeming to become more and more rampant, and it's just as much the case with our pets. And there's a lot of different directions that they can go depending on, what type of special needs your pet may have, or just that you want them to have, depending on how you want to maybe spoil your fur baby. A third trend is certainly around sustainability. There's some challenges in the world of sustainability, and it's exciting to see the real commitment that, Al and the Mud-Based stores, as well as many other independent pet retailers, have towards sustainability. And then finally, without a doubt, what brings it all together is the neighborhood store experience. And you heard it from Michael as he spoke about his new family edition, and the same from Amy and her dog in the store. It is everything about the neighborhood store experience is where it all comes alive and creates the loyalty, and it really enriches the family engagement between pet parents and their pets. It really it's so gratifying to see the way that neighborhood stores serve their customers, whether that's their human customer or they're probably more favored customer, the pets. So with that, let's jump into a few numbers. So first, relative to the rise of natural. So one of the things that Spins does, in addition to having data itself, is that we look at products. We analyze products, whether it's how the labels position the product in the market, or flipping over and looking at the guaranteed analysis and looking at nutrition and ingredient profiles, et cetera. And one of the particularly powerful ways that we segment the data is through what we call a positioning group. In other words, products that are positioned as natural. All clean ingredient profiles, some of them may be organic, just a variety of different attributes on the package that makes it really a clean ingredient profile, which so many of us are looking for our pets. A second area is what we call specialty and wellness. These are products that are positioned with a sort of a gourmet flair, I will call it, or like a differentiation, but they don't have that clean profile necessarily. And of course, all these products, by the way, don't necessarily just fit edibles, right? Because it could be that there's something that's a bamboo product supply, a pet towel, that falls into the natural because bamboo is sustainable. Or it may be some really neat collar or something unique that's a specialty flair, within specialty and wellness. So it definitely goes far beyond just edibles. It's everything in the store. And then the final group are mainstream or conventional products. These are the ones that, the more mainstream brands that are more mass produced very often. And so when you look at all the sales coming out of pet outlets and segment them in these ways, boy, does it jump out at you. Two things. One is the rise of natural. You can see that products that are naturally positioned across all outlets. So this is not just neighborhood pet stores, but think of mainstream places, mainstream supermarkets, Walmart, Target, so many others. Natural products in entirety are growing at 11% over prior year. So and if you compare that to the about flat growth of specialty and wellness products and the about 3% growth in mainstream, hands down, natural is where it's at. Probably not a surprise considering, again, the millennials, as you heard, love to take care of their fur babies and indulge them a bit too. But what gets me even more excited is going back to the point of how differentiated neighborhood pet stores are, because while across all outlets, about 15% of sales are natural. So, not that high a percent of sales, almost 70% of neighborhood pet stores have their product sales coming in natural. So this is a true commitment to the very best that we can provide our pets. And it just screams again at like the differentiation and the innovation and just that really high level of engagement that our independent pet retailers, have with these types of products because they want us to have the very best for our pets.
Well, and Catherine, I might also add that not to pat all the independent retailers out there on the back too much, but one of the reasons that segment is growing at what it is the education and the focus and the time and energy that channel, when you look at this through the lens of channel, is there. It kind of shows the power of independent pet and neighborhood pet and what they can do collectively to grow brands. And that is one of the big things that channel brings to all manufacturers.
Without a doubt, Al, you're so right. I mean, it's really, our independent pet retailers are almost synonymous with consultancy in some ways, right? It's to if your pet is having stomach problems or other things, one of the first places you go is to talk to your local pet store. Often many people even maybe do it before a vet. Do I really need to go to the vet, or is there something that we can do, here with my trusted local retailer? So you're absolutely right, and that's a huge and vital role in the industry that for the development of brands, not only just customer engagement, to your point, that these stores play. So let's move on to trend 2. So as if it wasn't good enough for the products to be clean, now we're also looking even further at specialty diets. And there are a plethora in pet diets of special things you can either seek or avoid in your pet's products. But some of the ones in particular that are really driving growth, you can see here. 75% of cat food growth is driven by these attributes of naturally positioned or grain-free or raw. Treats, similar, natural and grain-free. Probably not a surprise to folks that CBD is really driving supplements. If I had $1 for every time I said that CBD is the answer for scary thunder for your pets, and if you don't want a thunder jacket, or even better, the two in combination, it's extraordinary what we're seeing in CBD as it relates to pet, and the kind of miracle stories you often hear of folks of just how well their pets respond in a variety of ways to CBD vitamins and supplements. On the dog food side, certainly natural, raw, frozen, also very relevant, driving about 35% of growth. And certainly, by the way, refrigerated is growing up also. You know, sometimes having products that are refrigerated or frozen make them much easier to keep a special diet. You know, the ingredients that are needed in a particular diet are often more, I guess, effective in the storage components of refrigerated and frozen. And then dog treats as well. You see grain-free, gluten-free, raw, you know, driving over 30% of growth there. So just without a doubt, no different than the human trend as we humanize our pets. We are definitely seeing an increasing, you know, rise of specialty diets. And I think we're going to see it continue to grow even more. And hands down, no different than natural, this independent neighborhood pet stores are where you go to find that unique product, or how do I match what I'm looking for in my ethos or my health condition I'm seeking or avoiding. Please help me, my neighborhood pet store, to match that to a product that fits my needs.
Yeah, I mean, the specialty diet piece is evolving and has been for a long time into, you know, a focus on variety, where it's not just carving, you know, customers an approach into single products. It's really about the well-rounded diet and about trying to keep variety and trying to blend, you know, the kibble that makes sense for the specific animal with additional moisture, with additional raw product to have this blended and varied diet. And that's a confusing proposition for a lot of pet parents, and something that the independent channel is really well positioned to help with.
Without a doubt, absolutely, without a doubt. Well, and as we think about sort of that need for special diets, and particularly as we sometimes, again, as we said, sometimes it's need-based, sometimes it's want-based. We said earlier, millennials are known to be all about whether it's spoiling themselves and chasing the latest trend, or often spoiling their children or their furry friends. One of the things that it's interesting, we've definitely you know, seen in some research, is that 73% of Gen Zers and 68% of millennials are certainly willing to spend more for sustainable products. I mean, across the board, you know, there's certainly an increased demand in sustainability as it relates to pet products, no different than, again, in our more traditional, I hate saying human, it's not quite the right word, but pet parent products, I guess you would say. So we believe sustainability is probably in the very earliest portions of just how mature this will grow in the general pet industry. And I think certainly, again, independent neighborhood pet stores are on that early cusp of really strong commitment to exploring sustainability as it relates to pet, and are really helping to define what it will be going forward in a variety of different ways, because there are a variety of different ways to you know, really define sustainability. And I know I probably won't even begin to be able to stop Al on this one. He has such a passion around sustainability. So Al, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think it's exciting that so many people are taking an interest in it. You know, it's not just the fringe anymore. It's becoming a passion and something that consumers are willing to spend money on, interested in having more information about. And yes, we are trying to grow our focus on sustainability all the time. We're by no means experts in mud bay and are just, I feel like, in the infancy of doing this. Anyone who's really interested in all the approaches and partnering with someone who's really a thought leader in this, I encourage you to check out Pet Sustainability Coalition. They're fantastic. They are providing resources that we're using. I know a lot of other independent retailers are using that are not just around environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is a huge one, and they are creating great conversations around this and challenging manufacturers and retailers to look at different ways to be more environmentally sustainable. But they're also coming with some fantastic tools and thought starters around how to have sustainable business practices in general. You know, broadening that definition of sustainability to encompass, you know, how do you be a good partner? How do you make sure that your environment, your work environment, is one that, you know, really has a strong focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion? How do you, you know, these are all things that that we care about deeply, and that we know our customers, they want to know about. Our customers want to know those stories about the manufacturers that we represent in our stores and what they're doing, not only to have great sourced product, great environmentally sustainable product, but what are they doing to be great businesses that are creating a sustainable workforce and investing back in their communities. So the opportunity for us as an independent neighborhood channel to do this well, tell those stories, and continue to make this a part of what we bring as differentiation, it's just boundless, and it's really an exciting time.
Before we jump off this subject, a question came up. Can you define sustainability?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think as I sort of alluded to, there is this sustainable sourcing of product piece, which is the purest form of this. How do we make sure that the environmental impact is as sustainable long-term as possible for the planet, for the health of the environment? But it has really taken on so much more of that, more than that. You know, there's a lot of independent retailers like Mud Bay, like others that I could mention, and a lot of manufacturers out there who believe in, you know, compassionate capitalism, that we need the entire ecosystem within our businesses to work correctly and to be equitable and fair for all partners, you know, who are at the table. And that in itself is a form of sustainability. So it's a very broad term. And once again, I'd really recommend, if you haven't checked it out, Pet Sustainability Coalition, because they hit this square on a bunch of different fronts.
Agreed. Amen. And without a doubt, it you know, as you hear Al's you know, how you describe it, it just reminds that the neighborhood pet channel and these stores are part of the community, and part of sustainability is healthy communities. And so it really does all play a part. It's not just, you know, about the products in the stores, although that is certainly a core component. So that's a great segue into our fourth trend, which really is the neighborhood pet store experience. And we know this is a busy slide, but you'll be able to dig in a little bit more perhaps in the recording. But what this is looking at through our great partner IRI, we're looking at some consumer data as it relates to how consumers spend across all kinds of outlets their dollars for pet products. I will particularly note here, and the circles on the slide represent internet. So that's a combination of pure play e-commerce shopping, as well as click and collect, which in other words, when you order it online for your local store, but then you pick it up, you know, in the parking lot or have it delivered. And certainly, since the pandemic, things have been dramatically changing on that front. And you can see, by the way, that from the charts, from the March date up here until the fairly current July 12th in 4-week increments. And what we see is, and there's differences, by the way, in those buying natural specialty wellness pet products versus more mainstream products. First, just the headlines again, it's a lot of data here. Natural specialty and wellness products, probably not a huge surprise, are more commonly shopped on the internet. You know, whether there's a variety of reasons why that might be, but certainly those products have been a higher percentage already, as you can see in the blue line and the bar at the right, and they moved a little faster over to the internet as well, you know, through this pandemic. So it started at 13% and it's gone up as high as 21% during the sort of lockdown phase. And it's dropped back some, but still well ahead of where it started. Mainstream products, you know, running a little bit lower. So you may say, well, we're talking about neighborhood pet. This can't be good. It's going to the internet. This is just the reminder of how and why it's so important for the neighborhood pet store experience to really create that loyalty with a customer that transcends convenience at times. And it's also critically important. And I know, you know, retailers like Mud Bay and others have really interwoven in-store with the digital experience, because in today's time, you know, the digital can really augment and even further support, whether it's looking for different specialty items that aren't always space for in every store, or whether it's the ability to, to add a subscription digitally so that you just know if if your cat food needs to come every 3.5 weeks, you can set it up on order. So this is just really a screaming for ensuring that the neighborhood store experience, really is one that is highly, highly differentiated. And that is what really brings the ability for neighborhood pet stores to be strongly competitive. And with all these new pet families, to really take the opportunity to build that consultancy and that relationship as people do get more comfortable shopping multiple outlets again. It's an unfortunate piece that everyone consolidated trips. So it has made it a little bit more difficult, but flipping maybe to the next slide here, Michael. One of the things that we're seeing is that there have been some challenges, but the data, what we are seeing is that the neighborhood pet channel sort of week by week is recovering, and consumers miss that relationship with our neighborhood pet channel. The other thing is a really key highlight here. By the way, these are all the categories, how Spins divides the data up within a store to make it a little more manageable when you analyze the data. But if you notice, things like toys, collars, apparel, habitat, etc., have really been leading growth. And these are really leading indicators of hopefully long-lived relationships with new pet parents in many cases. And so this is an extraordinary opportunity, for brands and for retailers to really create lasting relationships with their customers. And again, to be sure that they're meeting and understanding those consumers' changing habits, and they're evolving that into their new experience. So, it's exciting to see this type of growth coming in some of these non-food areas, because again, it does continue to build over, longer term into some more of the food and treats. And this is certainly not indicative of some recent weeks of what we've been seeing with a lot of strength starting to come back in independent pet stores. So we could talk for days, about sort of all the differentiation and benefits of the neighborhood pet store, but I'm sure there is no one better than Al himself that can really kind of dig into that and what that really means, when he's creating differentiation with his store and with his team members. And I often say, the independent retailer understands there's 5 P's in merchandising, not just 4, because the most important one of all is the people, without a doubt. So, Al, I'm sure you've got plenty to add on the neighborhood store experience side.
Well, I mean, my hat's off. I talk to a lot of different independent retailers across the nation, and there's been so much effort and so much energy that has gone into, trying to keep the experience that they have built over the years intact through all of this. And it hasn't just been one change here, one change there. It's every couple of weeks, people are evolving the signage that's in their stores. They're retraining staff. They're helping take care of their staff so that staff feels comfortable. And that's probably the biggest piece of the foundation that we've focused on is, how do we make sure that our staff feels comfortable, feels safe, and is in a good place to be able to create that welcoming experience, what we call the Mud Bay experience. Although we know it's adjusted and it's changed, it's got to start with staff feeling good. Then we can work on, customers feeling comfortable. And, it's changing all the time, but, the feedback we've gotten and what we're seeing in the numbers is that we've done a pretty good job of trying to bridge this gap. We saw curbside pickup jump up, very high as a percentage of total transactions in the first month or so, in late March and into April. And since that time, it's been slowly coming back down, and those customers have been transitioning back into store, which is ultimately what we all want, as much as we want to make sure they have all the information they need online to help pre-make buying decisions or to prevent them from going elsewhere. Great conversations and great education still happen in store. And, I think for the independent channel, we want to make sure that with all these new pet parents coming into the market, I've heard estimates of, 10 million new households by the end of this year that will have a new pet. We need to make sure that when they have those questions and they're looking for those solutions, they feel comfortable to come in, and staff are educated and feel comfortable enough to stand 6 feet apart and have those 15, 20-minute conversations, because that's really what secures customers for the independent channel, not just for that transaction. That type of interaction is something that creates a lifelong customer if done correctly. And we can't, everyone I'm sure has different numbers, but the lifetime value of a customer in the pet industry is enormous. So, it is well worth creating that environment and spending that 20 minutes really cementing your expertise and driving home that experience to create, dollars for the next 5 years.
Great. We are doing okay on time. We have time for a couple of questions, and I see a couple have come in. I think we're going to start off. Catherine, I think this question is going to go to you. Talk a little bit about the SPINS pet channel, the neighborhood pet channel, and how is that different from competitors, the data that's in there?
There are a few things that make it different. Probably the first and foremost is our really unique view into more categories across the store. Especially we looked at the slide on some of the habitats and some of the different types of supplies that are in there. It really is a leading indicator for a lot of other things to follow, sort of in that lifetime, as Al referred to. So that is one of the particularly key areas, that's very different. The other is, and it very much parallels SPIN's overall mission and philosophy of supporting independent retailers, is just how much granularity and how many retailers we really work to bring in and participate. We would like to, we're not just trying to build a sample of something. We would truly like to help every single independent pet retailer in the industry, and we welcome them all to work with us. And so the degree of the sort of sheer quantity that we work to bring in and to have participating really sets us apart as well, because we won't stop until we're at 100% participation of the retailers we want to bring in. The other thing is that we absolutely want to put a spotlight on these stores and the importance that they play. So we carved them out individually. We didn't add them in with other larger national chains or something somewhere else. We wanted these retailers to have their own voice, since they really are such the home of innovation in this relationship with customers. And then finally, I'd probably put the fact that we only hit on a couple of the product attributes around things like diets or natural, et cetera. But we really add all those filters on top of the data that helps really, whether it's a brand or a retailer, dig into the underlying dynamics to understand what's driving growth. And just as much, truthfully, tell you when to start getting out of things, right? Because we don't have unlimited store sizes. And so it's just as much about helping to know what to get out of to make space for that next great thing.
Great. Al, I think this next question comes in for you. How often do you see customers initially buying product in a store and then shifting to online, and how do you counter that shift?
Yeah, we like some other independent retailers out there, we were late to the party on e-commerce. I mean, we really have only had it up and running since early second quarter this year. And so we're still learning our way through this and seeing it. I think we feel it more, and when we look at our numbers, we see it more in customer atrophy, or a customer that we've lost to another channel who's just no longer visiting us, is where we see it, And so I think we all have to be conscious that it is the experience and getting them back into stores and looking to provide them with real value, whether it's nutritional value, a solution on a problem they're having, whether it's a special event. We have to keep the focus on providing that type of value. We also have to make sure that we're very competitive on price, and that we're not just giving folks an excuse to go online and come to us for education and get the recommendation on the custom diet that they need and pick up a few of these things, but then forfeit that customer either because of convenience or price someplace else. You know, and some of that has to do with the channel your products are sold in. Some of it has to do with your overall pricing philosophy. But there's more to this than just simple convenience. And I think you have to take a holistic approach at it. I think we'll know a lot more, you know, 6 or 9 months from now. And when we take that information and blend it with the information Spins is giving us, and that we're looking at, you know, holistically, my hope is that the picture starts to become clearer, because I think right now we are aiming in the dark a little bit.
Great. This will go to Amy or Catherine. We're talking a lot about small independent businesses. How does the small business opportunity compare to larger retailers for a newer brand or product emerging in the marketplace?
Happy to
I'd
start
like to
this
take that
one.
one. You want me to start?
Okay,
Go ahead, Amy.
got it. So, you know, when thinking about an emerging brand, they really do need to, one, be able to gain their distribution. And so the pet retailers that we have in our Spins marketplace are the retailers that are looking for those innovative products. So it allows the brands to have a platform to differentiate. It allows them to build up their distribution. This is, you know, where the shopper is looking for that product also. So when they're coming into the store, they're looking for that. So the independent marketplace really is the launch pad or the platform for these innovative and incubator brands before they really grow to scale.
Agreed. It's really a place, to Amy's point, where you can, as a brand, refine your business model in a more friendly environment. Again, you know, to some of the earlier conversation, you know, it's all about people. And I think that's also about forming relationships with brand partners. And, you know, when you're newer, one, you might not be ready as much for some national scale, even in a product availability yet, because you're still maybe refining some components. And particularly too, many of these products, as we said, are very differentiated, and your neighborhood pet retailers are able to really talk about it with the customer, because, you know, once you move into some of the big mass merchants, it's not at all unusual that it has to speak for itself on the shelf, right? Those are the types of stores that aren't built with a kind of labor model that they can really personalize and do consulting with every customer in the store to help them match the right product to the need, or just say, hey, have you seen this? You know, this is the neatest cool thing that's out, and this is what it does. And so we have found through, you know, over 2 decades in the natural supermarket side, which we've determined is very much a parallel, that a really thriving independent network keeps the innovation and the brands really that flourishes as well. So while sometimes it may seem that the channel is small in dollars compared to the much more mainstream markets, if anything, it's more vital than much of that for really building innovation and helping brands refine their business model.
Well, great. This has been a great panel. It went by really fast. I'm sure there's a lot more questions out there. Many of you have asked. You will get an email with the full report, the full trends report, plus a recording of this webinar. If you do need more information, go to spins.com/pet. And we're going to continue to push our Pet Parent Nation on Facebook, where we're going to be talking about different brands coming out, tips, funny stories. So I wanted to thank the panelists. You guys were awesome, made it so easy today. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.